I'm Adam C and welcome to my MGB, my freshly restored MGB. Well, it was kind of the summer that I revealed this car, and when I did, I told you that I would provide a full breakdown of the costs of the restoration of this car. And you won't believe how many of these cars I could have bought with what I spent on this car to restore it into what it is now, but its sentimental value is worth more than that. But before I do that, I've got one job to do. Well, there's 3 jobs that still need doing. A restoration is never finished. There's interior, suspension and exhaust. The exhaust is alright, it's just not as nice as it used to be, so maybe I might drill some holes in it. Suspension is a bit American, so I might need to stiffen that up. And then the interior, let me show you what I mean. So I'm about 6 foot and I need the sunroof open to drive the car. So I need to cut the foam in the seats because I've had the seats re-trimmed as part of the resto in order to bring myself down so I can kind of sit in a far better position. We've also got some finishing touches required, like bits of trim that aren't quite down. And when the trimmer did this car, he kind of got a bit fed up with it and the job wasn't that great in the end. So if I close the sunroof, you can see in the corner that's just not done well at all. So this needs redoing. I'll keep that open because it's a lovely day today. And then we've got just a few bits that aren't on properly at all. This keeps coming undone. It's meant to be a push too, but I think it needs a bit of glue, but that's an easy job. And then that's just loose and there's nothing there. So little bits, I mean there's glue residue up here as well, and I don't know why there's screws poking out here, some with nuts on them, some with no screws and no finishers. So that's all needs doing first. So before I provide you with the breakdown of costs, I'm going to drop this car off its D-Class trim over in Woking for them to work their magic on the car, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about what I've spent on this cheap British classic. So I'm on my way to Woking. I had the sat-nav on, but my cigarette lighter has stopped working, so my phone is kind of mounted down below. Also, what kind of council puts speed bumps down a main road by a hospital? It's like, it's okay, Mrs. Jenkins, we'll be there soon, So I think I am arriving now, maybe? Ah yes, they have a bit of an American brute outside on the right. Oh, and a few classics on the left. So here we are parked up and I have dropped off the MG. So there's quite a few bits that need doing. I mean, this carpet isn't in place. I'm actually going to change the material because it will be nice to have a more black finish. We've got carpet here that looks a bit unsightly. Obviously we've got the sunroof here. We've got this that isn't really in place. We'll sort that out as well. It's actually a bigger job than I thought, but we're going to get it all done. So I'm in great company with the Merc, the Aston Vantage and the little frog-eyed Spice as well. But I need to get home because this is going to be here for a few days. This is what I've got. This is hardly the most glamorous ride of my life, but here we are on the fold-up bike. I'm going to cycle into Woking. It's quite windy as well. This is me. Oh, hello. Hello 180SX S13 with a ducktail. Hello. Spot of the day. There's a sticker that says, I'm not really into drifting, sorry. Oh, sorry. I'm going to ride away in my bicycle. So back again on the fold-up bike to collect the MG. They have done a lot of work. They have discovered a lot that needed doing, more so than we thought, so I'm excited to pick it up. I'm on a cycle lane, by the way. I'm not on the pavement. I'm not one of them. Oh, Civic. So here we are. Oh, check out the 190 they've got in. So back once again at D-Class, and my car is there behind me next to their 190 that they have built, looking fantastic. I don't want to get distracted, but it is a very distracting car sat away in the background there. But here is my MGB. Let's take a look. have to excuse my luggage in the passenger seat. But talking of seats in the car, the first thing that they have done is lowered the foam in the driver's seat. So they've kept the leg supports here, but they've cut the foam so that my bum is about 1 inch to 1.5 inches lower, so that my head is no longer against the sunroof. Talking of the sunroof, they've also redone that, so it's no longer bunched up at the sides, and they've also stretched out here because this was getting a bit pushed up by the wind over the years. So that's now a lot tighter and a lot nicer. The A pillars have been redone, new screws everywhere, so they're period correct screws because they were incorrect as well. Around to the boot, the new boot carpet as well, and it's properly poppered down because that was loose. And whilst they've done that, they've also sprayed in along here. I don't know if you noticed, it had some kind of paint chips over the years that wasn't done as part of the respray, so that's all painted in and looks really nice. We haven't bothered painting that because that's always going to get paint chips from the boot closing on it. If anything, I want to take the paint off here so it all matches, but we've got new carpets here to match as well. The C pillars have been redone as well. That's a new panel altogether. And around in the middle of the interior, we've got a new panel here as well to cover the screws. So it looks so much better, and I'm going to be sat so much nicer whilst driving the car. So I'm going to take it back and give you a little rundown all the costs of the whole restoration of this car, because I could have bought quite a few of these for the price I've spent on just this one. So, a big thanks to D-Class Trim. Check out their YouTube channel, there'll be a link in the video description for their video of this car and what they did to it. A more extensive look into it. I've gone the wrong way. So, I hope you can hear me alright, because I picked a remarkably windy day to do this. This is the list of receipts. This is everything that's been done. I'm not going to use this piece of paper, but I thought first we'll go through the interior costs of what I've done all together before we go anywhere else, because that's kind of where we started off the video. Then I'll go through everything else that I've done as part of this restoration that was a lot more extensive than I thought it was going to be. But I have a much shorter list to go through, and we shall start with the interior. And the original cost that I had for the full interior to be done, the bit that I've just had to redo, that was £650. The seat foams, they were £130. The seat covers, that was an extra £245. The carpets, just for the front, £34.50. So the total, before the work that I had done with D-Class, came to £1,060. So over £1,000 on the interior, most of which had to be redone. Then we had interior pieces. We had like things like the key barrel. Had to get a new one of those. That was £108, and that's along with everything else. There wasn't much else that needed changing in terms of the parts in here. Came to £189. And whilst we're in here, let's pop the bonnet. So the engine components list is the largest list on my very colourful documents here. And you've got things like the bonnet stay, which you can see is brand new. That was £19.96. But the engine components list is quite a mess. It's mostly made up of various little bits and bobs that I had to change. I didn't have to change the radiator or the oil cooler because they're fairly new. The rocker cover, I changed that just to make it look nice, so that was £40.60. The clutch, which isn't really under here, but I've got it on this section, £122.59 for the clutch, but this doesn't include all the other parts that go with the clutch, like the master cylinder, the release bearing, had to get that changed. So the total for the engine compartment section was somehow £670.32. But of course, a big part of the restoration was to have the engine rebuilt, because it'd be silly not to. And this used to have to run on leaded fuel, so I'd have to put in some lead additive within maybe every 2 to 3 fill-ups. You should do it every fill-up, but you don't really need to. So to stop that, I've now had it converted to run on unleaded fuel, so the valves have been resat, and the engine rebuild came to £444, so not too bad if you ask me. We've also got the exhaust. I changed the exhaust. Again, I didn't really need to, but I felt like I had to. It's got a nice shiny manifold you can see in the engine bay. Unfortunately though, the exhaust, it's a bit quiet. It's not as nice as the old one, which probably had various holes inside it, so it's more of an aesthetic look. But the exhaust in total came to £413. But let's close that, because we next come on to more like the underneath of the car, the suspension and the brakes, the running gear. So we've got new kingpins, they were £44.21. The stub axles, £157. That's all totals £590 for the suspension and the brakes system. Now that didn't include the powder coating. So I've had the full front subframe and suspension units powder coated, which came to £369.95. We next come to a biggie, and the main reason that I restored the car. So the respray. The car wasn't looking too bad, it just had a few rust in places, like around the wings and the usual suspects around this car. So I wanted it resprayed, and I went for the original colour that I had it in. It may not be the original colour when it left the factory, that could have been gold, I don't know, I haven't yet found that out, but this is flame red, and the respray, well, let's see. Now I had to buy new wings for the car because these, both of them, are too far gone to be worth restoring. So there was some rust repair that was involved in the price of the respray, but we didn't do the wings, so we bought new wings. And they're not included in this cost, but the fitment of the wings, they're included. So the full respray and the fitting of the new wings, £6,000. So back when I bought this car, I bought this for £4,600, and I spent £6,000 respraying it. So we're already more than what I paid for it. And you can pick up a good one for £6,000. So I spent the value of a kind of good MG just on getting it resprayed. It was a bit more than I'd hoped, and it's an all right job. It pops nicely. There's a few bits that I've noticed, but I'm very particular with my cars, and I know every little mark on them, every little paint run or blemish. But what I next have here is all of the external trim and bodywork parts, such as the front wings, which were £1,209.95. Had to get a new front valance, which is the body part under the bumper, because that was too far gone as well. Front valance, £99.95, so not horrendous. Bumpers. Now, I did sell my old ones, and I haven't taken the sell price off the total, but that doesn't really matter. I bought new bumpers because re-chroming is quite an old process, and not a lot of companies do it, so it's actually getting a bit expensive. So actually buying new bumpers was more cost effective, and these are stainless steel rather than chromed, so they shouldn't wear down and they still look just as shiny. So I got a new set of bumpers, front and rear, £361.34, and then the overriders I've got down as £200, so £50 for each overrider, because I changed those as well. They used to have the rubber stoppers on them, but I got rid of that because it looks more classic. So we've got the chrome trim around the side. I had to get a new set of trim, one of which is already dented. Don't know how that's happened. So the chrome trim, £52.50. And the windscreen. So my windscreen was quite scratched from bad wipers from the years of use. So I was going to change it anyway, but when we took it off, we dropped it and it shattered. So £250 for the new windscreen, and that doesn't include labour. That's the next section. So the total trim and bodywork cost, £2,489.54. So it is all adding up. But the next cost, that's labour. So that's everything that anyone other than me did, which is, to be honest, quite a lot. So we had Universal Classic Cars work their magic on it. We had the trimmer, we had the guys at D-Class Trim as well. This is all included in this price of £3,288.09, which isn't, if you ask me, too bad for the amount of time that was spent on it, but we could have maybe done it a bit quicker. Maybe it's because I was a bit lazy in getting things done. It was like a 3-year restoration, but all the labour costs came to over £3,000, and that's everything I've got written down. But that total is not the true total. There's always other things that I've missed out, haven't included, haven't accounted for. And yeah, I've got the total figure here. So everything else, including the D-Class trim work that they've just had done, because I've only just had that done today, so I couldn't put it on the spreadsheet. That comes to, drum roll please, £17,103.74. I've spent 17 grand restoring this car that I bought for £4,600. Yes, that was years ago. And the trouble with that is this car right now is worth about £13,000. So I've spent £17,000 making my £5 car worth £13,000. So not the best of investments, but that's the thing. It's not all about the money, it's about the sentimental value, and this was my first car. However, if I'd have known when I started that it would cost 17 grand in total to restore this, I don't think I'd have bothered. I'd have just run it to the ground and maybe done the bare minimum. but by the time I'd resprayed it and spent that much on it, I was thinking, well, why not do this? Why not do that? And that is how most restorations go. And there's still more that needs to be done. The exhaust is blowing. The new exhaust has a blow in it. The suspension doesn't ride very well. It's very wayward, like an American 70s mobile. But it is now a show-ready car, up to the standards that I like, because I like my cars, apart from the 350Z now, because that's a daily and that's gone a bit far gone. But I like my cars to be as perfect as they can be. And as I said, I know every single blemish, so the lesser the blemishes are, the better I feel. So that's my MGB. I hope to use it a lot more in the summer now that it is pretty much done. Big thanks to D-Class for fixing the interior, making it better again, and head over to their channel to see a full video of what they did to this car. There is a link in the video description. They've got Instagram as well, and so have I, which is here to follow for all the car meets and car adventures that I get up to. So I hope you enjoy this video, but for now, thanks for watching.